What's up, guys? Mike here. The next stimulus bill has just been confirmed, and in this video I'm going to tell you everything you guys need to know on how to get the second check, when it's going to be coming out, and everything you need to do to prepare to get that second check, and also some updates about the unemployment coming up after July, where the $600 weekly benefit is going to be expiring, and what's going to be happening next, and how much you're going to be getting in weekly benefits after the July expiration date. So with that said, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe, and let's begin. So far, we are 18 weeks into this disease that nobody likes, and a lot of people are claiming unemployment benefit as of now. If you are one of the 30 plus million Americans who are receiving that weekly $600 benefit, unfortunately, it is going to go away at the end of this month by July 2020. The two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, have a disagreement on what to do with the continuous benefits. Should they extend it and let people continue to pay their bills on time? Or should they reduce the $600 or get rid of it entirely and give people incentives to encourage them to go back to work? Of course, there's a ton of disagreement with both sides over the $600 weekly unemployment benefit because the Republicans think it was way too much money, but it was necessary after the pandemic hit. So pretty much the President Donald Trump turned on his burr machine and printed us a ton of money. And then we have Jay Powell with his infinite amount of money from the Federal Reserve also turning on his brrr machine and printing us infinite amount of money to help us supply us with sufficient amount of money to get through this. But anything extra is always going to help. So in order to prevent extra amount of income like the $600 weekly benefit being paid too much, because some people were making way too much money from the weekly benefits over their own job, and they want to prevent people from becoming lazy is what they think is going to happen. They want to decrease that pay and turn it to actually to give people 70% of their earned income that they were making back in their job. But that system is a little bit difficult, and coming out with a more sufficient system is not easy to do at all. However, there's a few issues with coming out with a system to pay everyone about 70% of their previous income, because first of all, the government does not have the resources for that. They don't have the manpower to independently pick out and see how everyone was making money and how much to give them an equal 70%. So we don't have that kind of resources, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to come up with a system just like that. So taking consideration of the 70% these Republicans are talking about, it's going to probably be about $100 to $300 weekly benefit that they're going to add instead of the $600 that we have right now. And it's going to be voted on, it's going to be represented to the Senate and then back to the House. So we have to wait and find out what's going to be exactly to come, because we don't know, but I think it's going to be somewhere between $100 to $300 instead of the $600 we're getting right now. However, the Democrats do want to extend that $600 weekly benefit, but to them, it's actually not a deal breaker. It doesn't really affect them if they decide to give us the $600 or not. So more than likely, the House and the Senate will probably come to an agreement with each other and decide on a set amount, somewhere probably between $100 to $300. I'm not sure, but I would be surprised if it's anything other than $100 to $300. I personally think they're going to probably settle somewhere between $200 to $300 in weekly benefits. It's not the $600 that we all want, but it is better than nothing. In other news, the stimulus check has been officially confirmed. So we are finally going to get the second $100 check we have been waiting for. Nobody knows what's the final amount that we're going to be getting, but once it is negotiated this week, more than likely you can expect the same $1,200 check in your bank account or a check sent to your home like last time. the way you have set it on your tax forms on the IRS. So I'm just happy the Senate finally agreed to a second round of stimulus, but they certainly took long enough to get it done, right? But now that the Senate has proposed the idea of the check, it is time for the House to let us know what they like and dislike about the stimulus, about the bill, and they have until July 28th, which is probably today, that I'm going to be uploading this video. So hopefully we will see an agreement by August 7th, because if this does not go through, the Senate and House is going to go on a recess for about a month, which is absolutely ridiculous that this is even a possible option, that they're not willing to make sure to take the time and get this bill done before they even consider about having a recess. But this is absolutely absurd to the American people. It is totally unfair and unjust. When our senators are making $175,000 to $250,000 a year, they can afford to wait. They can afford to wait for that 1 month recess. But the American people, they're the ones who have to suffer because they can't come to a compromise. Unfortunately, most U.S. households cannot afford to wait because they do not make $200,000+ a year from our taxes. Instead, the average American household makes somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So it'd be very beneficial if these two houses could come to a compromise and get this deal done ASAP. But once they do get the bill done, the President Donald Trump can sign the bill by August 10th and have the checks sent out somewhere by August 24th, using pretty much the same system that the IRS was using, the way you set it up to either send it electronically to your bank account or sent with checks into that home address that you have selected to receive those tax return checks. It should come the same. You can also use the website that I will provide to you. You can use the same process with the IRS Get My Payment tool, which we all have used last time to see if when we're going to receive our checks. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll leave a link in the description box below to show you the link. And I'll also show you right now how you can do it and how it works. So I'll leave a link in the description box below if you like to check that link for yourself as well. Okay, so once you log into the link that I provided in the description box below, all you do is you go over here, click on Get My Payment, you say okay, and then you just fill out your social, your birthday, your address, and the zip code that you have provided to the IRS on your tax form, which is where your checks are going to be sent to. It's not the greatest tool, but it's something to help us track the checks that we're going to be getting into mail or directly deposited to your account. In addition to the stimulus checks and as well as the unemployment, the Republicans also want the Democrats to look at a few other things that they would like to add to the bill. And of course, our wonderful Democrats are easily and eager to agree to those and get those done ASAP for us because they really love us Americans. One of those things is that they want to give $105 billion to the school system to start reopening. But here is the catch. They can't pay themselves and they can't just pay their lawsuits. They have to reopen the schools, and that's what it's dependent on, which I think is actually a pretty good move. They're also providing targeted money for the PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, which is a program that gives small businesses money that they don't have to pretty much pay back as long as they use it within a certain number of criteria, like paying their employees to keep them working. And the Republicans want to do this for small businesses that had their revenues cut by 50% or more. So this probably means billionaires like Kanye West and his brand won't get another $2 million easy from the program, and not to mention authors like Robert Kiyosaki, guy who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, who got about $300K to about $1 million to his pay for his 11 employees, which doesn't sound bad for him, but he even goes ahead and goes as far to call the program as socialism for the rich when he's using it for his own benefit. So he just thinks it's bad if he can't profit from it, pretty much is what he's saying. Republicans also want to add incentives to people who are going back to work and to companies who are continuously hiring new employees and encouraging their old employees to come back to work as well. The Republicans also want to include $16 billion for testing for the disease. The Democrats only want to spend $1 trillion in total, but the House is more than willing to spend up to $2 to $3 trillion to help us out. Unfortunately, this will reduce people's incomes at a time when there's still over several million people claiming unemployment benefits, while the pandemic numbers are getting worse and worse, and more people are getting sick, and more people end up in the hospitals, and the data is there to back it all up. But putting opinions aside whether the unemployment benefit is too much or not enough, I actually found some data that over 70% of people actually wanted to go back to work, and they even did in the months of May and June, even though they were getting paid more in unemployment, and staying home over going back to work and making less money. So the opinions of the Democrats saying that people will grow and become lazy and not want to go back to work is absolutely false, because more people are more encouraged and love to go back to work, even though they could get paid more money from the unemployment benefits and stay home. So regardless, this opinion is absolutely false. So pretty much the reason is because most people, yes, they might be getting paid now more than going back to work, but they fear that if they do not go back to their old job, they're going to be replaced by someone else that is hired in their position, and in the outcome of the long run, they're more likely to lose their job and make it a lot harder for them to find a job, and in the long run, they're more likely to lose out on money over the few extra months or weeks of unemployment benefits that they might be getting, because the job that they have now is definitely much more important than not having a job in the future and not even collecting unemployment anymore, because once unemployment runs out, your 1 year ends up, you get nothing. But if you go back to job, you still have a job, and a lot of people fear that they might lose their job or get replaced, and they're more likely and more willing to go back to work, and they don't want to stay home and be bored out of their mind. I think cutting people's income right now is not going to save the government much money, and it's about to have a much worse effect on the economy, because when people's bills are due and people can't pay, and when people are starting to lose their homes and they have nowhere to go, that's when things get really, really bad. And this is already happening now, because just this Saturday, the freeze on evictions for not being able to pay your rent was just lifted, and no longer people are being protected. Over 110 million Americans are renters, which I am proudly one of them, but now over 20% of them are at risk of being evicted. And when this happens, it's going to be really bad for the renters, because landlords can now start the process of the eviction process, and what they have to do is they first have to give you that 30-day notice that you have to pay, or if you don't, they can start the eviction process, and by end of August or early September, they could start the court processes of evictions, and that could be really, really bad for renters and for the landlords as well, because if they can't collect payment, the renter has to move, and the renter won't have any place to go, because where are they going to go when they have no money to pay for their rent? So people have until then to make money to pay their rent and maybe catch up on the rent that you have missed out. But if you can't, and you are one of those people who might be in trouble, I have a really good resource for you. Please go use this website. Go to www.don'tgetkickedout.com. That's exactly the name of the website. It's a really great website to use as a resource, and it gives you all the information that you should know as a renter. The other source of website that I want you guys to use and have is for the economy and the pandemic that you should check out. It's marketplace.org. I'll leave a link in the description box below for both of these websites, and I really want you guys to use all these resources to your full benefit. Another potential issue with the unemployment is that the Republicans want to have the 70% of your employment covered. It's not possible for them to determine each person's 70% employment rate. And they do not have the capabilities of making a website that is going to be accurate and not fall and fail at all times like most of the government websites do anyways. That's the case. And they don't have the manpower, they don't have the resources to find out the income. That's why I think the $200 to $300 unemployment benefit is going to be done very soon instead of the $600. That's unfortunate for us right now, but at least it's better than nothing. The thing is, anything the government makes is usually does not work properly or function well, because there are still people, I kid you not, who have still not received their first $1,200 stimulus check. So anything the government makes that's regarding to websites does not usually work out for many people. So they need to do something that's going to help cover the unemployment weekly benefits that's ending very soon with the $600 by the end of July. So pretty much what this means is, instead of taking 70% of each person's income, the government has to come up with a specific number that they can use based on the average American income, which is about $40,000 to $50,000, and that's where I get the $200 to $300 a weekly benefit that they might add instead of the $600. So don't worry, guys, I actually have a solution for all of this. All you have to do is subscribe to my channel, and then we can get together and be compassionate and miserable together and get to know each other a lot better. So with that said, make sure to smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so YouTube could alert you when my next video comes out. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I pretty much post there daily, so if you want to be part of that, make sure to add me on Instagram. Also, leave a comment below. Let me know any other questions or concerns you guys have about the stimulus or the unemployment benefits. I'd really like to help you guys out as much as I can and give you and provide you with any other resources that I might come across as well. Also, if you want 2 free stocks from the stock market, WeBull is giving 2 free stocks. One for just signing up to use their platform, and a second stock worth up to $1,400 when you make a deposit of $100 or more. And right now, WeBull is giving $1,200 shares of Coca-Cola when you follow their promotion. Also, Robinhood gives out a free stock. Make sure to check out the links in below for your free stocks from Robinhood and WeBull. Thanks again for watching my videos, and until next time, make money with Mike.